All right, welcome back to Not Financial Advice. This is Sean, and today we're going to be doing my first full portfolio update for you guys. Today's Thursday, December 21st, 2023. We're about 45 minutes past market open, and currently the market is up 0.71%. The market is also sitting down about 0.8% from all time highs. And today we're going to be doing a full reveal of my portfolio where we're going to see whether I'm up or down on the day and through the life of my portfolio right after this.
You need to diversify your bonds.
The only problem you're going to have is that you didn't buy more. Because by the time you read about it in the Wall Street Journal, it's already too late.
But lower than that, up about 0.4% or $240 on the day. And for the first time here, we've got some noteworthy gains on the investment portfolio. So currently sitting up 2,858 or around 4.5% for all-time gains. The portfolio was opened on or around April 1st of 2021. So the bear market of 2022 has been where I and this portfolio has been living for the majority of its life. And just taking a look at everything, the S&P 500 has had quite a run, but some other indices have been doing well also. And so the market is up just over 4% in the last month. Truly a Santa Claus rally. But what we can see on my portfolio on a month basis is I'm up 7.2%. So outperforming the S&P 500, but lagging the Russell 2000 index, which is up 12.7%. And so those are the smaller 2000 publicly traded companies in the United States, essentially the US market minus the S&P 500 for the most part. So as we're getting into breaking this whole thing down for you guys, I'm going to ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But here today, sitting up about 7.25% over the last month. I'm very pleased to report that I've got some outperformance, not only over the S&P, where I'm up about 3%. Um, I'm up 3 percentage points higher than the S&P. So the S&P is up 4%. I'm up 7%. Sort of pacing with the Dow Jones, which is up just a little bit over 6%. I'm up a little bit over 7. Beating the NASDAQ, which is cool. The NASDAQ's up about 5% in the last month, with me at 7.25. But then again, as I mentioned, lagging the Russell 2000 index, which is comprised of small cap and mid cap companies for the most part. And that's had some pretty astounding outperformance, up nearly 13% in a month. And so, I guess that's a quick lesson about the markets is you can't ever time the market. Both the Russell 2000 as well as the RSP or equal weight S&P 500 index have gone from 52-week lows to 52-week highs in the course of about the last 2 months. And so let's just dive right into my portfolio and see how it's doing today. Looks like I got a little bit of upward momentum on the day here. So you're looking at this live with me. Portfolio is up. Portfolio is up now nearly 0.5%, which is $314, putting me at 67,800. And so, yeah, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we're going to start breaking this down for y'all. So basically, as you can see here on Google Finance, around 50% of my companies are what Google Finance considers to be large companies. And so that might just be companies that are 20 billion in market cap or larger. Companies that would meet the requirement of being included in some of these bigger indices here, which by default means that 50% of my companies are medium-sized and smaller companies. And so when we see that the Russell 2000 is up nearly 13% and I'm up around 7%, it actually, in a simplistic way, makes a lot of sense. Half of my portfolio is comprised of those medium and small size companies, and I have just a bit more than half of the performance of the index, which tracks those sizes of companies. So additionally, sort of on this dashboard here with Google Finance, we can see that 36% of my companies are high PE investments. So maybe some different growth names. Not sure what a medium dividend investment company is, but 18% of those are mine, I suppose. I do have some pretty high yielding companies in here, as well as others that don't pay dividends whatsoever. Um, but yeah, let's just start breaking it down. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to sort this by total gains, and then we're going to go ahead and sort the portfolio by its value. And so I'm going to go from my largest position down to my smaller positions, and we're going to be able to see the lifetime unrealized gains of these positions. So portfolio sitting now, it's climbing a nice little amount here. Portfolio is sitting at uh, $67,900, up $355 on the day now. Love to see that. But what's more important is seeing how everything's done over its lifetime. So again, the portfolio is up about $2,900 or just under 5%. And so let's take a look at the performance of certain individual companies or holdings. And we're going to start with my largest holding, which is Fidelity Total Market Index Fund. And so, um, what what we should do actually is we're going to take a look at my investment portfolio visualized, just to do a high level overview, and then we'll sort of break down the performance of these different investments on a little bit of a more of a granular level. So this would be a good time, if you haven't already, to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and let's just see what we can see here. So my largest holding is a Fidelity mutual fund, which is the total US stock market. And so that's the S&P 500 plus the Russell 2000, essentially. It's about 3,500 or so publicly traded companies in the US. Every publicly traded company in the US makes up 23% of my portfolio. So that's the anchor of my portfolio. This is a mutual fund, so it settles every night. So yesterday it was down 1.5%. Today it's probably up 0.9%. But the rest of these results are going to be accurate. So my second largest position is Amazon, as you can see here. It's just a bit over 9% of my portfolio. Now, if you take a second and you pause and just sort of scan this, you're going to be able to tell what are my larger positions. I guess as we look at this, if we look at the smallest one that registers, we can see, that the Fidelity Total US Market mutual fund is 23% of my portfolio. Again, Amazon is about 9% of my portfolio. And the different bubble size boxes or squares represent the weighting. And so one of the smaller weighted holdings that is still a significant holding looks to be Kroger. And so that's at just around 1% of my portfolio. And then we have all these other companies that are in between. I think a good example might be Mexican Coke, KOF, which is about 2.2% of my portfolio. So this is kind of, from a 60,000-foot view, my holdings and how they're organized. And so you can take a look at that now. But what we're going to do at this point is we're going to break down the lifetime performance of these different investments together. So I'll have you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's zoom back out to the 1 month performance. And then we're going to go ahead and turn this back over to list view on Google Finance. We're going to do total gains sorted by value. All right, so we're in the right place. So as we can see here, my largest holding, I'm up 11% or $1,400. That's the total US stock market. So when you're up decently on your largest holding, that's a good sign for the trajectory of your portfolio. We can see that my second largest holding, my biggest individual company owned, is Amazon, where I'm down about 8%. And then going down the list, we can see Winnebago. So I'm up 10%. That's all happened just in the last few weeks. But that's a $2,200 position where I'm up 10%. So that's definitely cool. And then Vanguard Small Cap Value, I'm up around 9%. which is about $160. And things are jumping around here a little bit as this is live. But I have a pretty large individual holding in Smith & Wesson where I'm down nearly 37%, so down $1,100 plus dollars. That one's obviously a little bit rough. And so as we move along here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sort of speak on each holding that's over $1,000. And then as I go down, I'll pause so you'll be able to see my different holdings, the dollar amount, and the lifetime value. But let's keep it pushing here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. So what we can see here now is that I do hold a good amount of Google shares, and so I own around $1,700 of Google. I'm up over 9% there. Coinbase, a big holding of mine, $1,700, up a whopping 110% for nearly $1,000 in gains. Pretty nifty. Williams Sonoma, high conviction bet for me, up 41%. Williams Sonoma is a $1,600 position. $1,500 position is going to be Netflix, also super high conviction with a similar amount of returns, 45%, up around $525. Then we have Mexican Coke. Love this company, love this stock. Just around $1,350 in this stock, up a whopping 56% or $500 gains on this position. Then I have Visa, one that I feel very strongly about. A little bit pricey right now, but I own $1,300 of it. I'm up a cool 16%. That's good for $200 in gains. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. And then as we go down the list here, I have Vanguard, um, Vanguard Growth Index, VUG. That's up 23%. I've held that one for a long time. Up about $230, a $1,230 position, no big deal. So that's VUG. Now we're starting to round out my list of equities in the $1,000 plus club. So we then have Intel, that's at a $1,200 position, up 21% or $210. And then we have Apple, $1,200 in the holding, up 26% or $260. Down over $200 on Best Buy, which is a decline of 15%. I have $1,100 plus dollars there. 1,060 in Salesforce. I'm up a nice 37% for $340. And then my last $1,000 club stock, Charles Schwab International Dividend ETF. That's a neat one if you haven't heard of it, SCHY. So I have $1,015 there, up just under 5% or $45. So that's pretty cool. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go down and we're going to just sort of pause there with Salesforce and SCHY, as these might float around a little bit, but it'll give you the opportunity to sort of look at these different holdings that I have from SCHD, which is definitely an important position for me, up just under 5%, all the way down to, say, Dollar General and Tesla, which are around $500. I'm up on one versus the other about the same amount. And so at this point, if you wanted to see how some of these different investments have returned for me over all time since April of 2021, you can pause the video here. With that being said, I'm going to ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And then I want to take you on a little bit of a narrative, a little bit of a tour of, the history of this portfolio and my experience investing. So we're going to have a reminder where we can pause right here and we'll pick back up at Dollar General and Tesla. But you can see these all-time returns here. And what I'd want to do at this point is give an update on where the portfolio is just in this very instant. And so the portfolio is up $235 today. So I'm sitting at $67,800. And I think this would be a good time to sort of do an update on my different portfolio reveals that I've done in the past. So my first one was 3 months ago. At that time, I was at $52,500, which was unrealized unrealized loss of $2,700. And so that's, completely flipped on its head. But as of 3 months ago, I was down 5%, around $3,000. I had another update that I did a month ago where I was still down 2%. The portfolio was at 63,250, and I was down about 2% or around $1,300. And I did a brief update just as soon as the total holdings went positive 2 weeks ago. I was up 0.9% for $550. And so from 2 weeks ago, my portfolio has rocketed from $65,100. Okay, $65,100, up only $500. This is 2 weeks ago. Today, I'm at 68,000, so 3 or so $1,000 higher. And then, going from whatever whatever it was, what was it? Going from up $500 to now being up nearly $3,000, and that's just in 2 weeks. So if that doesn't tell you about how the market moves, nothing else will. And so what I wanted to do at this point, we're gonna go back and finish looking at the investment returns, but I wanted to sort of give you a narrative of how my investing journey has gone thus far. So April 1st, 2021 is where I started in the market, and this would be what I would consider my first phase of investing. And so I bought a lot of the stocks that were, very in vogue in 2020 and 2021 based on what was going on in the world. Companies like Home Depot, Dollar General, things of that nature. When this market turned down here about 4%, kind of freaked out and took profit, quote unquote, as it were. So if this thing will cooperate with me. For my pain and suffering, like the video and subscribe to the channel. So when I had around $600 in gains and the market went down around 4%, I took profit, which was kind of dumb. But around this time, I decided that I needed to get into some positions that weren't looking backward, but were looking forward. And so in the early part of 2022, I got into some long positions with Amazon, Smith and Wesson, and Winnebago. And I'm still down on two of those, as I showed you. Winnebago is the one that's performed most nicely, but I've gotten some good dividends on those throughout that time. And that's sort of where I lived at until mid 2022. And at this time, I adopted some different strategies. I adopted a little bit more diversification, and I started buying heavily depressed tech stocks, which ultimately is what has led me to be at the point that I am at today. So around May 20th of 2022, this is where I got into some more diversification. And in this bear market, I was making sure to buy the things that were most beat up, which was technology stocks. In 2022, we had a pretty brutal bear market, down 24.8%, which was a shock to the system for a new investor. But as this market recovered, um, I think with the exception of these first few months, where I've been living at an investment is just in a place that is, for all intents and purposes, completely flat. And so a lot of dip buying. And if we go down here and see the recovery that's happened, and so if we come back in here and look at the bottom of the 2022 bear market, we had a drawdown of just about 25%. And at this point, no one had any idea what was going on, how much lower it would go, or when it would recover. And so at this point, I'm buying heavily depressed tech stocks hand over fist. Also, getting my weight up on some more defensive stocks as well. But I definitely did my best to pile in to the stocks that were punished the most. And so as things started to recover, at this point, the Magnificent Seven, starting in, you know, probably around the beginning of 2023, started to do well. And so those were some stocks that I had been buying into. Okay. And so at this point, I continued to sort of go back and forth between buying, consumer defensive and consumer defensive and other um, defensive sectors of the S&P, but also interspersed with any weakness I could find on higher growth names. And as the growth names continue to do better and better, I pivoted back into buying some of those more value-oriented stocks or consumer defensive stocks like I did at the beginning of my investment journey. And, we moved throughout the market. Even here in 2023, there was a correction down 10%. And now we've had a pretty significant rally. So the market is in its full on Santa Claus rally, up 14% from its most recent pullback. And, that really is sort of the um, history of my investments here. And so we're going to come back over here into Google Finance and finish the review, the update on this portfolio. Looks like things are moving in a positive direction. $67,800 now teasing, dancing back and forth, cracking around $3,000 in all-time unrealized gains. And so we're going to go ahead and just hit refresh on this. We'll put it on the 1-month view. We're going to sort to value of shares and total gain. And we're going to pick back up where we left off, which was around, we were around dollar. Um, well, we stopped at the $1,000 mark. Let's just see here. So we stopped at, I think we stopped at SDHY. And so you had the opportunity to pause before and to go all the way down and sort of review where I was at between Dollar General and um, cores, I believe it was. So we can just take another second to pause and you can review how everything's done here from $1,000 down to a $500 position. I'm just trying to see if there's anything worth calling out here. We can see that, I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. We can see here that I've had a rough time with the cannabis stock Trulieve, which is down 77%. That's intellectually, emotionally hard. But some other things, that really stand out, down on Walgreens around 30%. Um, but a lot of, just sort of average or decent performance. Um, Looked at this the other night. It looks like about 85% of my companies are higher throughout all time. So that's cool. You can see a lot more green on this screen than red. But let's get back down here, and I'm going to have you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up this video by looking at the different holdings that I have that are under $500. And so we will start here at Dollar General and going down. We see Trulieve there. That was a big decliner. So Ulta Beauty's one that I really like. I'm up 12% on that. Love to buy some more of that. Texas Roadhouse has been good to me. I still believe in Tyson's, even though it's low. This one's super weird. Up 30% on Foot Locker. Potentially super uber value trap, but it was just too low, too depressed, with some good leadership and some things that could have turned positive and did, and the expectations were so low. I'm making 30% on like a 6 PE stock. So sometimes that's cool. Up 30% on Microsoft. I didn't have a lot of exposure to that. But I saw them buy Activision. I saw Chat GPT, and I thought I still had a little bit of time to get in. I've got exposure to this through different indices, but doing nicely there. See if there's anything else that stands out. Should have bought more of that, up 60% on Facebook stock, but it's only $150 in gains. So anything else that stands out? Let's go down to where Facebook stock is and let you pause and just sort of review this. So down on Estee Lauder, down on Starbucks. These are companies that have exposure to China. Looks like Paramount may be bought out recently, so we'll see how that goes. Is there anything else that's really noteworthy? Not so much. So I'll have you pause here if you want to review these different holdings and their all-time performance. And then we're going to go down here and we're going to take a look at everything that's under $200. These really marginal positions that are going to be, a third of my portfolio. And so we're starting here at Seneca, which is a $200 holding. And you can pause as I go down and draw your attention to an even smaller holding. So these, I guess I'll look right here. 3M, I own $105 of it, which is a pretty small position, down $11 on it. And then these aren't all less than they say, but for instance, um, for instance, AutoZone is a $2,600 stock, and so I own less than one share of that. So it's not really showing how much I actually own, but we can see that for all these different holdings here where I own, just a fraction of a share, I actually have some pretty nice performance. So maybe I should have bought more. But to round the video out, you guys, I'll have you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll just review these less than one share holdings. So I'm up $25 on AutoZone, up $81 on Costco, up on Domino's, $37, up on Casey's General Store, $38, um, McDonald's, $13, so on and so forth. So, um, as we wind out this video, I really appreciate you stopping by and taking a look at what I have going on over here. Make sure that you like and subscribe and turn the bell post notification on. If you'd like to be notified of the next time I publish a video, I'm just a regular guy. You can take a look inside my portfolio, ask me questions, ask for me to review companies that you own or you're interested in. I'd be happy to make a video for any of my subscribers who just leave a comment in the comment section. I can do a review of a video for you. But we'll wind this video down, taking a look at the heat map for the stock market on the day. This is the S&P 500. Rounding out the video, looks like the portfolio here for myself is up a healthy $300. So I'm sitting at $67,800 with all-time gains of $3,100, day gains of $242. Market is up today a bit more, up around 0.75%. And just to sort of wind this down, we see a lot of green on the screen today for the S&P 500. Just taking a quick glance, it looks like communication services with Google and Meta are up around 1%. So that's doing well. Semiconductors and chip stocks are doing well. Nvidia was down 4% yesterday, but Nvidia and AMD are up nearly 2%. Some of our technology companies like Microsoft and Apple are up around 0.5%. Same with consumer discretionary, Amazon and Tesla up between 0.5% and 1.33%. But just a lot of green on the screen all across the map. Not seeing anything that stands out really as red. A lot of different sectors within the S&P up around 0.5% to 1.5% today. So thanks for stopping by. Again, this is Sean at Not Financial Advice. Like the video and subscribe on your way out, and I will see you on the next one.